like to welcome you to Tuesday's edition of A Walk Through Romans. We are walking verse by verse through this wonderful, wonderful book of the Bible. And I said it yesterday, and I'll say it several more times before we get to the end of the book of Romans. The book of Romans is the book that tells us about our salvation. And that's why it's so important that every believer has an understanding of this wonderful book of the Bible. You know, you can read, and you should read, by the way, all the books of the Bible. But this book is targeted. It's there for this purpose, and that is to give believers an understanding of what Jesus did on the cross for them, an understanding of their salvation. Now, today we're in the book of Romans, the 5th chapter, and we're going to start with verse number 7. And this is what the Apostle Paul writes. He says, "For one will hardly die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person someone would even dare to die." Now, I want you to notice a few things here. The Apostle Paul says that it's rare. The wording here is "for one will hardly die," and it actually means it's very rare that a person would die for a righteous person. It means that it's something that's done with difficulty. It's something that's done with thinking about. You know, we've got many, many good people in the world. And some of those good people have actually given their lives to save other people. I'm thinking of a soldier friend of mine who died in Vietnam. He died by laying on top of a live hand grenade. He saved the people that were in his group, but he died. Did he die for good men? I don't know if they were righteous men or not, but he died. And so the Apostle Paul says that hardly a man, and when he says hardly, it means something that's difficult. One will hardly die for a righteous person. For a righteous person. The one who is made right, the one who is made just. That's what righteousness means. But notice that Paul says that one would hardly die. Now, let's understand this. There is none righteous, no, not one. There is no righteousness without Jesus, without Christ. And so when Paul says, he says, would one die for a righteous man? Hardly. With difficulty. You see, there is no righteous person to die for. Do you understand? Then the Apostle Paul, he continues to write, and he says this, "Though perhaps for a good person, someone would even dare to die." This man that I knew that died in Vietnam, what did he do? He died for his friends. He died for the men who were in his platoon. He died for them. Notice the difference here that the Apostle Paul says, first of all, for a righteous man. You can't die for a righteous man. Why? Because there's none who are righteous before Christ or before they give their lives to the Lord Jesus Christ. But someone might die for a good man. And we've seen this over and over and over in the history of our wonderful nation. People have died for good men. Now, let's go on to verse number 7. Verse number 8, excuse me. But God, oh, I love those words. But God. but God. It means God stepped in and changed something. God stepped in and made a difference, but God. And what did God do? He demonstrated his own love towards us. Now, I want to take the rest of this podcast and talk about that word demonstrated. This word demonstrated, it actually means to reveal, to introduce. It means to get in the face of someone, to stand in their face. Have you ever had someone stand in your face? I know I have. I remember a wedding that I did one time, and the uncle of the bride didn't like something that I did, and he got right up in my face. And I knew he was serious. And I got up in his face, and he knew I was serious, and he decided that this was not a fight he wanted to fight. Oh, my carnality. But God got in our face. He got right up to us. The Greek word here is it's a combination of two words, and it's sunhistomai is the two words. Sun means together, histomai means to stand, and what the word means is to get right up in our face. This word demonstrated. God showed his love to us. You see, I believe that every human being, if they would stop listening to the lies of the enemy, and if they would stop thinking that they needed to do something to receive the love of God, that they would find right there at that place, God right there in their face saying, I love you. I love you. I love you. God demonstrated his love for us. He got right up close to us and he said, Leon, he said, I'm serious about this. I'm in your face. I love you. And you out there that are watching this video, God is right in your face right now. And he's saying to you, I love you. Our time's up for today. God bless you, and join us again tomorrow.